Well, again, good afternoon. I guess we can start then. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm Professor Matthew Downs. I'm merely the MC today. I'm a retired law professor from California, but I've lived in Thailand and worked at Kasetsart University for more than 10 years. ผมพูดภาษาไทยได้แต่ไม่เก่ง All right, now, just to tell you a little bit about our schedule today. The schedule, we're first going to do introductions with leadership from the university, and then also hear from the International Peace Council, which the representative from the International Peace Foundation, and with group photos. We'll follow that, and then we have the presentation, and after the presentation, question and answers, and just a few more group photos where we recognize our sponsors. And a little bit of housekeeping, just in terms of information you need. If you go out the doors, you walk left or you work right. Either way, there are restrooms, toilets. And just to alert you that we are doing a live stream video with the university's social media channels throughout the proceedings today. And finally, the last bit of housekeeping, please silence your phones so they don't go off during the proceedings today. I'd like to please now invite our president, Dr. John Wachabenrat, to give a formal welcome.
Dr. Finn Erling Kydland, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of New Zealand to Thailand, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Kasetsart University to all our distinguished guests, with a special welcome to our speakers, Professor Finn Erling Kydland. The topic today, peace and economic development in the age of globalization, focusing is on the influence of globalization to relationship between economics, interdependence of the nation, and peaceful change. Last year, in 2023, Kasetsart University celebrated its 80 years anniversary. Since its inception, KU has taken steps to become the leading university in Thailand, and research focused on agricultural production and processing, integrating economics analysis into local, regional, and global agricultural development, seeking to promote health and well-being of all sectors of the global communities. Kasetsart University is recognized and respected for its research, but we are aware that our success has often been achieved in collaboration with partners from across the world. Kasetsart University shares with our partners to hope that the educational programs and research promote to well-being of the people. Once again, I wish to express gratitude to Dr. Kydland for taking time for his busy schedule to enter into a dialogue with us. I look forward to learning more economics analytics, particularly about the relationship of globalization, economic development, and world peace. I also wish to thank the staff of the Faculty of Economics for their roles in arranging this lecture. I'm confident that the presentation and conversation will provide lasting benefit to all you. Thank you very much for joining us today at Kasetsart University. Welcome and ยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านครับขอบคุณครับ
Thank
talks. Right, I would like to please invite Dr. Wiesett, our Dean of the Faculty of Economics, to the stage to give an introductory comments, please.
Sawasdee krab. Good afternoon. It's my great honor to welcome you on Kasetsart University Faculty of Economics to this public lecture, Peace and Economic Development in the Age of Globalization, presented by Professor Kydland. We are honored that Professor Kydland is able to join us. As you know, Professor Kydland was co-recipient of the Nobel Prize in 2004 in economics with Professor Edward Prescott for contribution to two areas of dynamics macroeconomics. They are the time consistency of economic policy and the driving force behind business cycle fluctuation. Dr. Kydland also has written extensively on topics that have contribution to the development of monetary and fiscal policy of the world government. The Faculty of Economics has two central missions. They are to train students at undergraduate and graduate level in the method and ideas of modern economics, and to conduct both innovative and applied research in economics that push forward the frontiers of the knowledge in a variety of fields. Our goals are to provide a better understanding of the global economic issues that will confront our society now and in the future through teaching and research. The focus of Professor Kydland's presentation today discuss the relationship of globalization, economic development, peace, and stability of the nation. I anticipate that his comment will advance the education goals of the Faculty of Economics and provide practical insight into the real-world global issues. I believe that all of us will find the presentation thoughtful and instructive. Thank you for your attention and ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you, Dean Lim Somboonchai. Now may I invite, please, the founding chairperson of the International Peace Foundation, Mr. Uwe Morawetz.
Sawasdee krab, and welcome to the Japan-ASEAN Bridges event series, which is facilitated by the Vienna-based International Peace Foundation. The events are hosted in cooperation with major countries' main universities, and I would like to thank Kasetsart University for hosting our event today. Commemorating the 50th anniversary of official relations between Japan and the ASEAN region, Bridges has been continuously held in Thailand and Japan since November last year, involving the participation of Nobel laureates for physics, chemistry, medicine, and economics. The Japan-ASEAN Bridges series follows the series of over 800 Bridges events, which the International Peace Foundation has facilitated since 2003 to support education in the ASEAN region. As peace cannot be achieved instantly, but is a process which needs time, Bridges has not been organized as a single conference, but as an ongoing series of now over 2 decades in which Nobel laureates have built strong bridges with leaders in all parts of society and with the general public. With with the basis for peace being education and synergies being the fruit of cooperation, the International Peace Foundation has not realized bridges alone, but has carried out the program together with UNESCO and with 179 other national and international institutions, including 106 major universities and schools across the ASEAN region. The multidisciplinary and pluralistic approach of bridges in the Philippines, Malaysia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, Indonesia, Laos, and of the events now in Thailand reflects that peace involves all parts of society. It involves awareness and social responsibility of politicians, the business community, scientists, artists, and the media. And since peace starts in ourselves, it involves every one of us. In this sense, bridges challenges us to cross borders and to build bridges by listening and opening up to other viewpoints, by generating new thoughts, by developing new forms of cooperation, and by fulfilling the desire of everyone to get to know and to learn from each other. This can lead us to a world in which we will be able to understand the complexities we face today in a new light. So let us be inspired by the knowledge and the wisdom that Bridges continues to offer. An opportunity to get a more inclusive, interconnected, and comprehensive view of ourselves and the world in which we live in, and which we are able to create anew every day through dialogues towards a culture of peace which need the participation of everyone. I think the 2004 Nobel Laureate for Economics, Professor Finn Kydland, is from Norway, so it's pronounced Kydland, who has agreed to come to Thailand again to support the events, and we look forward to his keynote speech and to his important contribution to build bridges. A warm welcome, Professor Kydland.
Mr. Morawetz, we're going to ask you to please stay on the stage for a moment. We're going to do group photos. President Wacharan Rock, I invite you and Dean Wiesett, please, to join on the stage as well. Yeah. So much. If you could wait just a moment, we're going to ask more people to join you. And please now I invite, actually it's a large group, vice presidents from the university, the deans and former deans from the university, and as well as council members of the university. While they're getting organized, let me tell you just a little bit about the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel Prize was created in 1895 by a Swedish scientist, Alfred Nobel, who stipulated that his estate should be used to reward those who had done the greatest good for humankind. The Nobel Prize has been awarded annually since 1901 in fields of physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace efforts. The Nobel Prize in Economics was actually added later in 1968 and was endowed by the Swedish Central Bank in commemoration of its 300th year. It follows the same process as the other Peace Prize. Okay, thank you. Kapun krap. Now we wait for we'll wait for Dr. Kydland to stay on the stage and get ready for his presentation. Yep.ประชุม Great, okay. While Dr. Kydland is getting fitted with his microphone, let me give you a brief introduction, a biography about him, please. Professor Finn E. Kydland is a Norwegian economist, and with Professor Edward C. Prescott, they won the Nobel Prize in Economic Science in 2004 for contributions in dynamic macroeconomics, notably the time consistency of economic policy and the driving forces behind business cycles. Dr. Kydland was educated in the Norwegian School of Economics and Business Administration, but received his PhD later from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, United States. Dr. Prescott at that time was his advisor on his graduate doctoral research dissertation. Professor Kydland was an assistant professor of economics at the Norwegian School of Economics and later taught at Carnegie Mellon. He now holds the Jeff Henley Chair in Economics at the University of California in Santa Barbara. He also has served as a consultant, a research associate to the Federal Reserve Banks of Dallas and Cleveland, and has advised several countries, often focusing on central bank-related policies. Ready? Okay, so please join me in welcoming Dr. Kydland.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am so delighted to be here. I cannot see my... Oh, they're coming up. Okay. Okay. I'm so delighted to be here, especially because I can see many student-looking people in the audience, and it's always a great pleasure for me to talk to students, as I sometimes do at my university, University of California, Santa Barbara. I am the director of a laboratory for aggregate economics and finance. When my chancellor, Henry Yang, told me I would be allowed to be a director of a center, I sat around for half a day trying to think of an acronym. I chose LAEF, which I pronounce Leif, like the great Norwegian explorer Leif Erikson, who was the first European to discover America. Now, I'm not being too serious about that because, I mean, it's kind of a joke I like to tell in the right settings. Now, oh, am I supposed to look at the screen over here or over there? Okay, sorry. So I'm especially grateful to Uwe Morawetz, who has been part of facilitating this trip, and I will try to. So the International Peace Foundation, I think, is a very important organization, and at some point, I'll try to make some comments about the importance of peace. So here's a graph of per capita real GDP. So per capita, I mean, we tend to think it's important to think in terms of how much per person. So that's why we emphasize per capita. Real GDP. Real GDP is the sum of consumption expenditures, investment expenditures, expenditures by the government, and so here is a picture that basically shows that per capita real GDP has been growing steadily over time. The blue curve is the picture for the United States, the green one for Australia, and the red one for Canada. So these are three major countries. Now, not all countries. So as you could see, these were growing steadily. Not all countries have done equally well. Of course, some countries have done spectacularly well, and in this picture, the countries doing most spectacularly well are Hong Kong, Korea, that pretty much covers the spectacular ones. Now, it's interesting to see that some countries have tried to catch up with the rest. For example, the light blue curve for Korea since the early 90s grew at spectacular rates. I suppose I'm a little sad to say that, or sad to point out that Japan hasn't quite kept up with the promise we saw in the 80s. So as you can see from the dark blue curve, Japan has indeed slowed down somewhat, although it's still one of the top major countries in the world. Towards the bottom of the picture, we see less impressive countries. So the dark green, the light green, and the I guess it's purple. That's a picture for some from Argentina or Chile, and not nearly as impressive. So I would like to oh. Okay, yeah. I would like to talk about something motivated by the French economist Piketty. So Piketty talked about the extent of inequality, but within given nations, including his home country, France. So Piketty talked about inequality and poverty within nations. In the spirit of Piketty, what I like to say is, if you look across nations, across collections of nations, the extent of inequality is orders of magnitude greater than what Piketty suggested for his home country, France. Now here's I suppose, what you could regard as the most depressing picture I can imagine. And this is real GDP for a collection of countries, collection mostly sub-Saharan countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Now the top curve is, I should say, I always promised Tanya, my wife, that I will be careful about making sure we know the vertical scale. And so here the scale goes from 0 to 10,000. You may recall that in the first picture for major countries, it went to 50 or 60,000 US dollars, 50 or 60,000 purchasing power parity adjusted US dollars. In this picture, I could have gotten by with a much different scale, except for this one country, the brown curve, Botswana. And Botswana is really the success story of African countries. So Botswana, they were lucky enough to find lots of resources, diamonds, and so on. And Botswana turned out to be very good at managing their resources, making sure they were useful for the nation as a whole. These other countries, there are many sad stories there, and as you can see, there are countries with GDP per capita down around 2,000 or barely above 2,000, 2 or 3,000. Much sadder story. Now, you may ask, what is it that makes country grow? Here is my key equation. So I was trained in mathematics, and so I like to put down mathematical symbols. And this equation, it is key to the development of nations in the world. It says that GDP at any time t is a function of three things. I call it Z of t. So Z is the technology level, and then Z times a function of capital and labor inputs. Now, I'm not saying that these capital and labor inputs, especially labor, are not that important, but it's something that I've like to focus on because of the so labor is really a quality adjusted measurement of labor input. So you weight the different kinds of workers by their skill levels, and then you add it up and you get the summation of the labor input. The capital, the K of T, is the summation of all the factories, machines, office buildings in a nation. And obviously important for the growth of nations. But I would like to emphasize especially the Z, because of the fact that measurement of these factors, measurements suggest that the technology level is so what happened to GDP is so if Z grows by, let's say, 10%, regardless of these other factors, capital and labor input, output, GDP, will also grow by 10%. And that's extremely powerful for the growth of nations. Now I would like to give my attention to a few countries. So this picture goes from 0 to 100,000 purchasing power adjusted US dollars. And you see a description for a number of countries. Not all countries did that well. If you look at the bottom curve, gray, I guess it's called stippled curve, that's Greece. And as many of us know, Greece, for a while, Greece didn't do very well. There's also the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Germany, Austria, and Italy, and Ireland. So Ireland is the most impressive picture because at some point, and Ireland is my most favorite example of how it's important for a country to have a commitment to growth promoting decisions. Ireland came up with a commitment mechanism which said, well, so they had observed that Ireland hadn't done so well for until about 1990 or so, and then Ireland decided to say, if you, whether you're from another country or whatever, if you set up shop in Ireland, these will be your tax rates. And this happened about the early 1990s. These will be your tax rates, not just in 1992, 93, 94, and so on, but all the way to about 2005. And the picture shows that Ireland grew spectacularly for for a number of years after 1990. The only hiccup was, so at some point there was a housing boom in Ireland, and then some companies went bankrupt, and Ireland made the questionable decision of bailing them out. Not the smartest decision in my mind, but Ireland survived, and then they kept growing again. Now, I'd like to talk about some other countries. And again, this is total factor productivity for 4 countries. Remember, total factor productivity is the same as my Z in the production function. These countries, I mean, at some point, for example, Spain decided I'm sorry. So at some point, Spain, I should explain that straight line, that's the growth rate it's the growth rate if you take the average growth rate from 1960 to 1990, but you extend it to the present. At some point, this growth rate seemed to be quite acceptable, but then everything fell apart. In these 3 countries, now I'll get back to why that happened, but for now, let's just take these pictures as given. And as you can see, the Ireland picture looks way more acceptable from a growth perspective. Now, I showed you pictures for total factor productivity, but I could also equally well have shown you pictures of GDP per hour worked. And it turns out they're very related. Per hour work is usually not that different from total factor productivity. But these may, to measure GDP per hour worked, many find that more interesting, and as you can see, Ireland did very well in terms of GDP per capita. Now getting back to Spain. So Spain is a very interesting country in many ways. It's actually one of my most favorite countries to visit, because I like the lifestyle in Spain, and and so on. But getting back to what happened in Spain over the period I mentioned, let's see. Over this period, I did some work with someone I used to know at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. His name is Enrique Martinez Garcia, and so he and I looked up some data about why Spain hadn't done so well, and so on, and then we realized what are the important factors that potentially make a country work at acceptable rates. And this is a key picture in what Enrique and I worked with. So if we go back to 1980, here the nominal value-added shares by two sectors. The nominal value-added shares are divided into two kinds of sectors. It says non-traded and traded, but I prefer to call them the non-tradable sector and the tradable sector. Now, if you go back to 1980, you can see that these two sectors, tradable and non-tradable sectors, they were virtually equal, 50% each. And then they started moving apart. Now the blue curve is the picture for the non-tradable goods sector and the green for the tradable goods sector. And they have kept growing apart, and they still have not converged back. This is very bad for Spain. Now, you may ask, what are examples of tradable and non-tradable goods? Here's a list of 5 each. Tradable, I have agriculture, fishing, mining, total manufacturing, and publishing. And among non-tradable, construction, general repairs, accommodations, food service activities, and, well, I threw in haircuts because you may not believe this, but even I need a haircut occasionally. Now, looking at these two sectors, here is a picture of output per hour worked in the tradable goods sector. That's the blue curve. Because Enrique and I, we made some pictures, and somehow I ended up here using the picture for the 2 pictures that are irrelevant for the output per hour worked in the tradable goods sector, the blue curve. So ignore, for the purpose of this talk, ignore the red curve and the green curve. Oh. Let's see. Oh yes, excellent. So what I would like you to draw your attention to is the blue curve. As I said, that's the relevant for both pictures, and ignore the red and green. So one way to look at what happened was, suppose you start in 1980, and you look at this, you think of this as an index of output per hour work. In 1980, the index is at 100, almost exactly 100. By 2005, or 2008, actually, it's grown to 220 or so, about 20%, which is spectacular. Meantime, if you look at the non-tradable goods sector, again, if you start with 1980 as an index of 100, by 2008, it's grown only to about 120 or 125. Not spectacularly at all. And so the main message of this, by the way, you may wonder what's included in the in these sectors. Now, one of them among the non-tradable is construction. One thing that happened in Spain, remember this all pertains to Spain. In Spain, because of low interest rates after becoming a member of the Eurozone, because of relatively low interest rates, it became cheap for them to take up loans, and then they would use these loans, many of these loans, for, let's say, for construction activity and so on. Indeed, it became so easy for Spain to get loans that at reasonable rates that they became tempted to use these loans to construct, let's say, an airport in every province of Spain. Not very efficient for the economy as a whole. So here is, did I show this already? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure you got the message about the importance of output per hour worked in the tradable goods sector. And as before, the red curve and the green curves you should ignore. But if you start with about an index of about 100 in 1980, then you go to 2008. I forget if I already pointed this out, but the output per hour worked has more than doubled, and that's an extremely important point. Now, what's the big deal about the tradable goods sector? The big deal is there's a lot of competition. So competition is an important driving force in what becomes good in an economy. Without competition, economies are much more likely to falter and not do so well. So output per hour worked basically more than doubled. In the case of the non-tradable goods sector, again, start with an index of about 100 in 1980, and let's take a look at what happened by the same year I was talking about, 2008. An increase of only 20 or 22%, in contrast with the tradable goods sector, where we, as you saw in the picture, output per capita more than doubled. Spectacular difference. Now, so my main message is that in terms of what will be good for an economy as a whole is competition. Competition drives good outcomes as opposed to monopolistic situation and so on. So this let's see, I forget if in honor of Uwe, I came up with, actually, my wife Tanya, where did she go? Tanya helped me writing down these conclusions. What does peace got to do with it? So here are some conclusions. Peace reduces uncertainty. Peace promotes trade. Peace allows technological change. So peace makes this potential for my Z to be powerful. And as you already saw in one or two of these pictures, trade increases growth, and growth elevates the welfare of citizens. And so that's really what we care about. So it's the welfare of the citizens that is particularly important. How happy they are with their situation and so on. Utility maximizing outcomes, as we economists call it. So that's going to be my main conclusion. I forget the. Oh, very good. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much. Do you have time for a couple questions? So we have a couple questions, please, from the audience. We have runners. We have people with microphones that can find you. I'll be quite honest, I can't see you because of the bright lights. Well, there's a question here. I see the hand. Yeah. Please go.
Oh, thank you very much for giving me.
Please speak more loudly.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for giving me opportunities. I am Dr. Suchada Thomalai from Philosophy and Religions Department, Faculty of Humanities. Okay, louder.
Yeah, you really speak much louder, please.
Yeah. So my question is about the inner peace, because I'm doing research. I am doing research about inner peace, how inner peace by practice meditation can help and support peaceful society. So my question is, I would like to know your opinions. In your opinions, do you think that inner peace can really help support peaceful society or not, and how?
Okay, her focus is on a peaceful society and regarding specifically interpersonal development of individuals. Will peaceful society advanced by individuals providing interpersonal peace?
Yes.
as was quite clear in my picture from sub-Saharan Africa, where there was a lot of variety in GDP per capita, or equivalently income per capita. I suppose I could go back to that picture, but if you look at in that picture where the income per capita went from 0 to 10,000, in contrast with European countries or world countries like Canada, United States, Australia. In those sub-Saharan African countries, the variety, the distribution of incomes per capita. So there's a French economist called Thomas Piketty who emphasized inequality of incomes within a country. My quip related to Piketty's work is, if you look across nations, including the nations whose pictures you saw in sub-Saharan Africa and so on, if you look across nations, the extent of inequality is orders of magnitude greater than anything pointed out by Piketty. And that has implications for the welfare across nations. I suppose an example I could point to is there are many things one could do. One example, I was aware of a study in Honduras where before the child was birthed, they were given a battery of mineral, calcium, vitamins, and so on. And then they continued this battery of vitamins and so on while the kids were growing up. And then about 20 or 30 years later, this study went back to those same children and looked at how well they had done as a result of these interventions. And it turned out, if you compare those who received the intervention with those who didn't, those who received the intervention, their incomes were on the order of 20 or almost 30% higher than those who didn't. So that suggests, I suppose, in the spirit of what Uwe is trying to do, it suggests that there are many things one can do to promote peacefulness and welfare across populations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have time for an additional question. Yes, over here. Yep.
Okay, my name is Navarat Temsamrit from the Faculty of Economics. First of all, I would like to thank you for your, hi?
Here?
Can you hear me clearly? Hello?
Yeah, your Faculty of Economics.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, okay, from Kasetsart University. Yes, okay. So I have a look at your presentation about peace, right? That peace could be one factor that drive the growth. So I'm kind of like would like to emphasize about the peace within the country, especially in terms of policy implementation between the central bank and the government. So in your opinion, usually we always have some conflict or contradiction in terms of policy implementation between government and the central bank. In your opinion, how can we maintain the central bank independence and the peace between the government and the central bank?
You probably know that this issue of central bank independence has been close to my heart for
Yes.
many years.
Yes, exactly.
And I do think it's extremely important, but I guess it's a little bit of a stretch to tie it too closely into peace. I would like to, but as I said, probably a bit of a stretch.
Right? I know it's a little bit difficult.
But I still think that so the independence of central banks, I think that is instrumental to welfare of nations. In my home country, Norway, Norway is an example where what should I say? Norway is an example where of what I regard as a well-functioning economy, where people are mostly happy about their welfare. I mean, there are many reasons for that. For example, the access to kindergartens for people of young age and so on. It's all promoting to the welfare of those involved, but also the nation as a whole. So I suppose that's the closest I can come off the top of my head to make a clear connection between peace and the welfare of nation. But while I'm on the subject of Norway, I always regard Norway as a great example of. So you may know that's social organizations are happy to or much involved with promoting the Norwegian citizens' welfare. And one of the key factors is that in Norway it doesn't really matter what party you favor, and so on. Because, so as an example, in Norway, for about 50 years, the Labour Party was in charge. And then for another maybe 30 or 40 years, a coalition of more rightist-oriented parties were in charge of the politics. You didn't notice any difference. In Norway, everyone pretty much agrees on what are useful things to do for the welfare of the population. And as a consequence, I suppose it doesn't matter which party is in charge or whatever, but Norwegians...
Happy with that. Okay.
Who said that? Okay. So, anyway, those are my comments. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.